You can't take it with you. And you probably all heard this before. You never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. Sometimes it's difficult to rid ourselves of possessions, especially if they have some special significance. I can attest to that. When I sold my house in New Jersey back in 2000, I had all of the contents of my house stored for 10 years. Then I moved them to my garage, where they still are. It drives my family crazy because they think I believe that I am doing my late family an injustice by donating many of these items. You can't take it with you. I have finally realized that these possessions are just a remembrance of my family life back in Jersey, and the time has finally come to let go. So my garage is slowly being emptied without any tears and regrets. I only wish I could find my baseball cards. Do we measure a person's worth by the size of their house, or their portfolio, or the make and model of their car? Is it possible for a person to have much and still give much? Fox Nation has a special on American dynasties. It highlighted the lives of some of our greatest and richest entrepreneurs. People like Vanderbilt, the Rockefellers, the DuPonts, Morgan, the Kennedys, the Bushes, and others. Once they had established their vast fortunes, many of them did become philanthropists, setting up foundations to benefit mankind. And look at some of what they did. Go to New York and look at Rockefeller Center in New York. Go to Colonial Williamsburg, just to name a few. Yet these qualities may have meant much to us, but did they matter to God? The qualities that matter to God, caused by the pursuit of earthly possessions, are anxiety, abuse of power, and in some bad cases, war. Look at what is happening now in Ukraine. Does the pursuit of wealth yield true happiness? I am the first one to say that obtaining wealth is not in itself just sinful. Just as the saint said, the love of money is the root of all evil. We must seek the things that have true value: justice, solidarity among ourselves, being welcome, hospitality, fraternity, peace, all things that make up the true dignity of mankind. It is a case of leading a life that is fulfilled not according to a worldly manner, but rather according to the style of the gospel, to love God with one's being and love one's neighbor as Jesus loved. That is, in service and in giving oneself. Coveting goods, the desire to have goods, does not satisfy the heart, but rather causes more hunger. For example, wanting something so much, like those tasty candies, you take one and say, "Ah, it's so good," and then you take another, and then another, and one follows after another. Such is the sin of covetousness. It never satisfies. Be careful. Love that is understood and lived in the style of the gospel is the source of true happiness, whereas the exaggerated search for material goods and wealth is often the source of anxiety, adversity, abuse of power, and possibly war. Today's readings contain a very strong message to those who have much and to those who want more. Avoid greed in all its forms. We are to avoid the mistake of the rich fool who saved up a fortune only to die and have it left to others. That is the way it works with the man who grows rich for himself instead of growing rich in the sight of God. Christians are challenged to be intent on things above rather than on things of earth. Anything else is vanity and a great misfortune. In the Christian scheme of things, greed is a bad word. and money does not save. God is the only one who helps us and sets us free. The Eucharist is a sign of the Christian commitment to satisfying basic human needs such as food. All other desires should prompt us to fall on our knees with the prayer, "Forgive us our sins and restore us to life." As Pope St. Paul VI stated way back in 1967, neither individuals nor nations should regard the possession of more goods as the ultimate objective. The exclusive pursuit of material possessions prevents man's growth as a human being and stands in opposition to its true grandeur. Avarice in individuals and in nations is the most obvious form of dead moral development. And we ask ourselves, is this a reasonable way to live? Well, this particular rich man in the gospel got a nasty surprise when he went about eating, drinking, and being merry. God said to him, "You fool, this night your life will be demanded of you, and the things you have prepared, to whom will they belong? Thus will it be for all who store up treasures for themselves." Whether we are rich or poor, are we trying to hoard what we have? The stuff in my garage, for example. Are we being children of God or children of mammon? When we make the right decision, we can expect to hear the words of Christ when we reach heaven. "Welcome, my good and faithful servant. Enter into your master's joy." Remember again, you can't take it with you.